First, let me say that we are deeply saddened by the loss of life that we saw. There is no justification for terrorism, period. And every indication is that indeed the rockets were or the rocket was from Hezbollah. We stand by Israel's right to defend its citizens from terrorist attacks.
Right, so Israel and America are suddenly on the back foot after 12 children were killed in the town of Masjid al-Shams in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights on Saturday. The area belongs to Syria, which Israel illegally occupied in 1967 and completely annexing it in 1981 against the wishes of the United Nations. Now, clearly, Israel has lived up to its reputation in the region of being a thief, a killer of children, and land grabber. Now, coming back to the topic, at least 12 children from the Druze community were killed in Masjid al-Shams after a rocket fell onto a field where these children were playing football. Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Hagari has blamed Hezbollah for the deaths of these children, but the Lebanon-based group has denied its role. There are reports in the local media as well as the US media that blames the Israel's much publicized Iron Dome for the slaughter of these children. According to these reports, one of the projectiles fired from Israel's anti-rocket interceptor Iron Dome accidentally fell on the football pitch and they got killed. War criminal Benjamin Netanyahu is very keen to use this deadly incident to expand the conflict across the region because this suits his personal goal of staying in power endlessly. Meanwhile, US Secretary of State, another war criminal, Antony Blinken, too has reluctantly blamed Hezbollah for these large-scale deaths.
Michael, with regard to the Golan Heights, first, let me say that we are deeply saddened by the loss of life that we saw. There is no justification for terrorism, period. And every indication is that indeed the rockets were or the rocket was from Hezbollah. We stand by Israel's right to defend its citizens from terrorist attacks. And one of the reasons that we're continuing to work so hard for a ceasefire in Gaza is not just for Gaza, but also so that we can really unlock an opportunity to bring calm, lasting calm, across the blue line between Israel and Lebanon. We're determined to bring the Gaza conflict to a close. It's gone on for far too long. It's cost far too many lives. We want to see Israelis, we want to see Palestinians, we want to see Lebanese live free from the threat of conflict and violence. And again, specifically with regard to the blue line, it's so important that we help diffuse that conflict, not only prevent it from escalating, prevent it from spreading, but to diffuse it because you have so many people in both countries, in both Israel and Lebanon, who've been displaced from their homes. 60 or 70,000 Israelis, roughly the same number of Lebanese, and absent a secure environment, they're not going to be able to go home. So we're determined to do that. We're in conversations with the government of Israel, and again, I emphasize its right to defend its citizens and our determination to make sure that they're able to do that. But we also don't want to see the conflict escalate. We don't want to see it spread. That has been one of our goals from day one, from October 7th on, and we'll continue to do that. But again, the best way to do that in a sustained way is to get the ceasefire in Gaza that we're working so hard on virtually every minute of the day.
He was speaking in Tokyo today. Now the question is, who is telling the truth? Israel says it was Iranian-made Falak 1 rocket that killed 12 children in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights, while Hezbollah has issued an emphatic denial. If there is any party which desperately wants a prolonged conflict in the whole of Middle East, it is Israel. There's absolutely no denying the truth. Netanyahu is not interested in a peace deal, since this will mean shift of focus on his corruption in Israeli politics. The war criminal has already been facing widespread protests against him by Israelis even during this conflict. The man could also be declared persona non grata after the International Criminal Court issues an arrest warrant against him. So Netanyahu feels that a widespread conflict in the region will help him earn the sympathy of even those allies such as the UK who appear to have started distancing themselves from his rogue regime. If you carefully look at the body language of Blinken and how he lowers his gaze while blaming Hezbollah, this will give you a fair idea of his lack of conviction about his own claim. As for Hezbollah, it's in the Lebanese group's interest to take credit for this attack, since this would help it expose Israeli claims on the invincibility of Israel's Iron Dome. But they are not doing so. And this is not the first time that Israelis have killed those who they claim their own people. On 7th of October, as reported by Haaretz, an Israel-based news outlet, that Israel slaughtered its own people and soldiers under its controversial Hannibal directive. Go on the YouTube, go on Google and search Hannibal directive, and you will know that Israel has always preferred to kill its own soldiers than letting them be captured by enemy forces. There is also a twist here. Members of the Druze community have never considered themselves as Israelis and have refused to serve in the terrorist outfit called IDF. This could be seen when Israeli military spokesperson was addressing a news conference. One of the analysts of an Israeli TV channel 12 could be heard saying that the Druze community members were not Israeli citizens.
שבה אזרחי מדינת ישראל ממג'דל שמס, קהילה, עדה דרוזית. הם לא אזרחי מדינת ישראל. אנחנו מחבקים אותם.
Israel's far-right criminal and minister in Netanyahu government, Bezalel Smotrich, was also kicked out. Yes, he was kicked out when he arrived to join the funeral of those 12 children. Now you know why Israelis are desperate to make everyone believe that they had nothing to do with this carnage. Anyways, I'm very concerned by the potential outcome of these deaths. God save this region. Hope American warmongers behave sensibly and manage to rein in the mad dog called Netanyahu for the sake of humanity. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.